I want to chat today about how hard it can be to get everything done. And for a really long time, I struggled to fit all of the things in. And I felt like, I would try to be juggling all of the balls, but I was dropping pretty much all of them. And just when I managed to start catching them, things would go sideways with something else. So today we're going to chat about prioritizing time management and making sure that we have time to get, of course, like the chores and the, other important things in, but arguably maybe some of the more important things, like the things you want to do, the things that give you energy, the things that make you feel amazing and light you up. So let's jump into that. And you'll have to forgive me. My voice might be a little off. Might sound a tiny bit stuffy. We just got back from Alberta yesterday. It was the Thanksgiving weekend. And we went to visit some family. It was absolutely gorgeous. It was so lovely. And that, it kind of like blends in with this topic today, with trying to get so many things done, because it can be so hard. And going away, getting ready to go away, oh my gosh, like what a chaotic thing it can feel like sometimes when we're getting ready to go away, when we're getting ready to pack things up. And so often for the longest time, I would just be like, I don't even want to go away. Like, this is just so much work. This is just not worth it. I just want to stay home. I think a lot of that comes from when we feel like life is out of control, that we cannot manage all of the things, as I said at the beginning, trying to juggle all of the balls. And I feel like as women, for those women listening, I feel like we were designed to actually manage multiple things at one time. I don't know if men were. The term multitasking, a lot of people use. And, that means doing multiple things at one time. Maybe that, and a lot of people say that's not really a true thing. I used to be a 911 dispatcher, and they would say you have to be able to multitask, which we would do, in that we would take a call and be writing it up at that time, sending a message to the dispatcher who is telling the police or whoever to actually go to the location at that time. So you are sort of multitasking. The thing about multitasking is you're never doing any of those things that you're doing very well when you are, quote, multitasking. And I think that as women, though, we are designed to manage multiple things. We are designed to be keeping, if I watch this amazing show. I love it so much. It's called Victorian Farm. And they go back in time, and they don't actually go back in time, but they show what it's like to live there. And the lady, Ruth, who I love so much, she shows what women would do, how they kept the house and how they cleaned. Even just the laundry alone is crazy what they had to do to get the laundry done. And I mean, I tell you, if there's ever an appliance to be grateful for, it would be a washing machine. I mean, the dryer, sure, is great. I mean, I love my dryer, but the washing machine. Anyway, so women would have to manage all of the home. And of course, the men were busy. They had a bunch of things to do too. I almost wonder if with men it was more singular faceted. Is that a word? With women, we have so much that we had to manage. And I think that because we were designed that way, and a lot of us are moms, that's still how we were designed. So for me, I need to be aware of what has to be happening with the kids at any given time, and who needs an appointment for this, who needs an appointment for that. I am aware of what my husband's up to. I'm aware of what needs to happen with the house. I'm aware of, like when the garbage is, all of these things. And I mean, I don't know what everybody else's house is like, but that's just how it is. Like, I am the house manager. And that's actually why I have never really worked much full time, because for me, it's a challenge. And a lot of people watching or listening, because this is also on YouTube and this is also on podcast, they do work full time and manage all of the things. And I totally get that. But the thing is, as I say, us women have so many things to manage. And how did we get it all done? How did the women back in the 19th century, the 18th century, all the way back, how did everybody get it all done? And before I get into some of the techniques that we can use, I want to say that for people with ADHD, that's even harder to manage all of the things. And in my house, my husband has ADHD, 2 of my kids have ADHD, I have ADHD, and there can be a ton of shame that comes with ADHD. In fact, I think it almost always people who have ADHD have shame. And juggling multiple things can be so hard. And I think that for the men, I think it just depends on people, who you are, all of the things. But for the men, maybe they're, back in the 1800s, for that day, they were working on, farming something. I don't know. And the women, they were working on cooking or whatever. Maybe there was less task switching. I feel like now there's so much task switching. There's so much we have to hold in our brains, and there can be so much shame. And maybe women are still better at that, even if they have ADHD. Of course, everybody's different, but I just want to say that can be a real struggle for a lot of us. For things that we can do, think about back in, the Victorian era. Even now, people talk about having systems. Systems are one of the very best things that we can do, and I am absolutely in love with systems. And one of the systems a lot of people have heard of is Fly Lady. She has different things for each week. It's been so long since I've really talked about Fly Lady or even thought about it. But she has there's the weekly home blessing, Monday, I think, where you clean. There's other days. There's Anti-Procrastination Day, which is one of my absolute favorites, where you just get all of the things that are kind of on your to-do list that you haven't done. And that one's really fun. And in addition to those weekly things, then there are I think there's monthly things or something. I can't even remember now. I need to do another video about that. And so I think that it's really good to have a system to use. And even back in the 1900s, that is what they would be doing. They would have, or the 1800s, whenever, the laundry, I said she would just start on Sunday, and it was they would soak things for a day. And then the next day it was just bashing it and beating the heck out of it, and then rinsing, and then wringing, and then washing, and then rinsing, and then wringing. And then it was letting it dry for a couple of days, which I'm sure would be a real challenge depending on the weather in some places. And then ironing, and then folding it, and then putting it away, and then starting again. So that was one thing. So that was one kind of a system. Then there's other systems where we're looking at our meals and how we create things. And I think that right now in this day and age, there has been a lot of people have lost the systems. They've lost the system mentality. And that's where things like Fly Lady come in. Clean Mama, she has some really good systems too. I actually really liked hers. And I think that using systems can be really, really helpful. Another thing that I really like that actually was developed by a lady named Tamara Rosier, and she has the Solvet grid, which she describes in her book, Your Brain's Not Broken. And the Solvet grid is really cool. I'm just going to pull it up here and I'll look at it again. It is a really neat thing where it is based on if something is emotionally stimulating, not emotionally stimulating, fun, or not fun. So think about red, which I always like to describe first. Red is emotionally stimulating and not fun. These are basically the things that we have procrastinated so much that we are oh my gosh, I am so stressed. I have to get this done. And you're so you're emotionally stimulated, but it is not fun. The reason why things become emotionally stimulating is because they used to be yellow. Now, yellow things are not fun and not emotionally stimulating, also known as boring. So think about, in my case, I like to think about laundry. To me, I keep talking about laundry, but I do not like laundry. I don't mind putting it in the washing machine, but I do not like folding it, and I do not like putting it away. I know there's some people that love folding, and I think good for you. If you love folding, let me know in the comments. If you like folding, to me, it is just the most worst thing ever. Anyway, So something yellow, something boring. For, in my business, I might think it's, looking at my finances, or even in personal life, looking at finances. And then you leave it to the last minute, and then all of a sudden it's tax season. Well, then it's emotionally stimulating, and it sure as heck is not fun. So then that becomes a red thing. So basically something that's boring that has to be done is yellow. And if you put it off long enough, it becomes something red, which is no fun. Then we come to blue. Blue is something fun, but that is not emotionally stimulating. Think about scrolling on your phone or even watching TV. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. I like to think of blue things as where we're taking a little break. But if you do it too long, you don't feel great. Even on the weekend, I don't know about you, but I'm at the point where my kids are a little bit older and they're sleeping into the point where I'm like, hello, it's 11 a.m. You need to get up. And I will just get up in the morning and I put on a YouTube video of somebody homesteading or something. And I'm like, this is great. And I can do that for an hour, maybe two. But as time stretches on, I start to feel kind of like, I might lose motivation. I maybe even will start feeling a little, not depressed, but just kind of like blah, a little blue, because I've been sitting so long in the blue zone. And the thing about blue is I think it's really great if you need to regain some energy. Like I said, we just got back from a trip yesterday. I could really use some blue zone time. So after this, maybe I'm just going to go and lie in bed and turn on, some Townsend's video. I love watching the Townsends or something like that. So blue is not a bad thing. You just don't want too much of it. And then that brings us to the best color, and that's green. So it's emotionally stimulating and it's fun. So that could be many, many things. And I also like to think of green things as being really good for us. So for me, if it's emotionally stimulating and it's fun, that to me is cooking. I love cooking and I love gardening. So those to me are emotionally stimulating, fun, green things. A lot of people, they like to do crafting and, of course, spending time with friends and family, emotionally stimulating and fun. These are good things. So I like when I'm looking at how I am going to balance all of the things on my priority list, how does it fall into those things? If it is, laundry, it's yellow, it needs to be done. So how am I going to pepper that in? Let's go back to a Saturday morning. I will wake up in the morning and it's Saturday. So I actually like to start my day reading the Bible. So I will read the Bible and it's just a nice, calm time. I could even see that as green. I'm getting something I enjoy to do out of the way. And then I will just do a bit of YouTube watching, having a little bit of relaxing time. So that's green and blue. Then I will need to tackle some yellow. I am going to throw in a load of laundry and maybe I'll go, quote, balance my checkbook. I don't even know. What do you call it when you do it online now? I use You Need a Budget. So I'll log into my You Need a Budget app. And I don't exactly find that emotionally stimulating to do balancing my checkbook or whatever it is we are calling it. And then I might go ahead and start doing some food preservation, which I actually love to do. And I put in my AirPods and I listen to an ebook or a podcast or something or some music. A lot of other people, it may be the same with like exercise or whatever. So it's like balancing all of that. How is it that you can get all of the things done that you need to get done? Because the problem with a lot of us is we will leave things to the red zone and we struggle with balancing the yellow and the blue. I feel like the yellow and the blue. And then what happens is things will go to the red and we feel bad about ourselves. And then we deny ourselves the green. So we're going too much between doing like scrolling or watching TV or whatever, and then not enough getting the stuff we want done. So then we deny ourselves the green time. Well, that's no way to live, you guys. Like, that's why we're talking about prioritizing, because it's about getting all of the things we want to get done in and not dropping so many balls. And I just finished up a one-on-one group coaching with a lovely lady today. And she said her biggest struggle before was time. And I said, tell me about how you struggled with time. Tell me about what the issues were. She said her biggest issue, and not that she had like a super cluttered, messy house, but she said she had hot spots all over the place. So she said it was managing those hot spots. It was having that time and feeling like she was always behind the ball and there was always something to do and that she could never relax. But then you do find yourself scrolling on the phone and you're like, but I have no time to relax. I have no time for myself. But we're doing this, and it's not like you shouldn't be scrolling. I feel like so often people are demonizing social media. Social media isn't the worst thing in the world. However, how we manage it, how we spend our time is, if we're not being smart about sort of planning a little bit and saying, okay, I want to get all of these things done. I want to get the yellow things done. I am going to plan stuff out. So I will often say, and I truly feel like this is one of the things I've done since I learned about Tamara Rosier a few years ago now, is saying, all right, I'm going to get some of these things I don't feel like doing done, and then I'm going to do something I like. And it feels so much better. And I can feel guilt-free. I can say, hey, if I really want to, I can use my hour that I want to sit down and chillax. I'm going to sit and scroll through my phone. Or I might say, I want to go and read my book instead. And it feels so much better to be more intentional about that. Or I'm going to hang out with the family or whatever. I think that is such a much more satisfying way to get a lot of things off of our to-do list. And that brings me to to-do lists. I am a huge lover of planners. I mean, and there's a couple of different ways you can do it. So I'll tell you what I used to do. For a long time, I did bullet journaling, which is actually a really nice, simple way of doing things. And especially if you do have ADHD, it can work really well. And you have a master to-do list for the month. And like, this is the most simple version of having it. And I'm going from recollection here. But you just say like January and you just start writing out things that you want to get done. And you can also have another page for all of the months, like big things that you need to remember. But say it's the beginning of January, you write 1 through 31 down the side, and you can start assigning things to the day, or you can just have a master to-do list. And as you're going through your month, you can just start crossing things off. If you don't get it done, you do an arrow and you put it in the next month. That's one way of doing it. So you've got like your master list, and then you can have your monthly list where you assign things to the days. And then you can also have like your annual list where you're writing things like birthdays or whatever. That can work really well. That's a really simple way. Or just like, honestly, the most simple thing is just a plain old to-do list and crossing things off. What I like to do is I am in love with planners now. And I'll put my favorite planners below. If I forget, make sure you let me know. And what I do is I will write down any appointments. I like the one that has the weeks. So it's got like a full month schedule. So you can or like a full month calendar. So you can look at a calendar. And I could put down appointments. We were away, so I put down, like going to Calgary on Thursday, coming home on Monday. Great, that's in there. So then on top of that, then there is a 2-page spread for each week, which is also very handy. And absolutely one of my favorite things to do is to look at my planner and to just start filling out what goes when and for each week. And I don't go too far in advance. So what I'll do is I'll look at my phone, which has appointments and things that have like an actual time that something needs to happen, where I'm meeting somebody, I've got a client or whatever. and we're working on some decluttering, I'll have that in there, and I will write that in for that upcoming week. Then I will write in what I want to get done each day and what I want to do on the weekend. If you're watching this on YouTube, you can see that I am getting some fun, like cooking and whatever, quote, chores out of the way. And I will put down if I need to get something processed, if I want to harvest the celery from the garden, because right now this is probably going to be it. I got to get that done. So I will do that. I will have that on my list for the weekend. For the weekdays, maybe it's a day where we've got our group coaching call. I'll put that in there. Another day I might put down other things I want to get done. Maybe like if you've got to take your kids to dance or hockey or whatever, that's on the list, which is really helpful because you can just tick those things off. If you have things that you need to get done, add them. Have an idea. You can have a master to-do list and then start filling in the days when you want to get things done. For me, I just love it. It's just something I really enjoy because it really takes the think out of things. That's been, one of my biggest struggles forever has just been like trying to rely on my poor brain that does not want to keep up with all of these things. So how is it that I can take the think out of things? Well, it's because I go through a planning session where I'm like, what am I going to work on this week? And sure, something will come to mind where I'm like, hey, I want to work on this. Like my thing right now that I want to work on is in a couple of weeks, I want to attack my digital planning, my digital organization on my computer again. So I'm going to schedule, half a day or a full day for that, and I can get that done. If your kid needs a dentist appointment or something, you can put that on there. And then as you get that dentist appointment done, you can cross it off. Or once you get that phone call made or whatever, cross it off. For me, making phone calls, one of my very least favorite things to do. And that is actually where I have started implementing Anti-Procrastination Day. I don't really do Fly Lady, but I am starting to do Anti-Procrastination Day, and that is Fridays. And I think, is it Fridays for Fly Lady or is it Wednesdays? Anyway, on Fridays, that is the day where I am like getting anything annoying out of the way, any of the phone calls. Depending on the age of your kids, if you have kids, it can be... You obviously have to work around that. And we need a level of flexibility in our lives almost all the time. And for me, I was very bad at being flexible for a very long time. I was really rigid, and I expected my family to sort of be just as rigid as me and just to understand that this was the plan and we don't deviate from the plan. And now I wish I could go back in time and just be so much more relaxed and so much more chill about all of the things that, certainly so many things just did not matter, and keeping up with the house. And again, I wasn't keeping up with the house with all of the clutter that I had for a long time. But that was one of my biggest frustrations, was like trying to figure out how to keep up with all of the clutter. It truly felt so hard to keep my house clean. On top of it all, I kept thinking we just needed more and more stuff. I thought we needed more storage furniture. I thought that shelves were going to be the answer for everything. I thought that this one particular book would be the answer to everything. I thought if my family could just finally listen to me, that would be the answer. If they would just respect the fact that I just ask them not to spill their milk or whatever. Like, we're talking about small children here. So it's so interesting that recognizing that being rigid can even be a problem. As we talk about prioritizing and chores and all of the things. But ultimately, like, why is it we want to get all of these things done? Like, ask yourself that. Why do you want to get all of these things done? Are you looking for a level of perfectionism? Because I certainly was looking for a level of perfectionism. And let me tell you, I did not have it. And that was the problem, is I felt like my house was super messy all of the time. And that as a result, I was focusing on the wrong things. And I'm not proud to say that, but it is what it is, and it was what it was. And when you know better, you do better. But I sure as heck wish that I knew that at the time when my kids were little, so that I didn't waste so much time on the frustration, and that I didn't keep thinking that I needed to buy things and I needed a different toy storage system. And meanwhile, we're still buying more toys, but why is it that I can't manage all of the toys? Or why is it that I can't manage my closet or whatever? That is just such my frustration of the moment in the house. And the whole reason why I'm even just mentioning any of this while we're talking about prioritizing is how the actual answer to a lot of this, of course, is like simplifying, and it is systems. And that is one of the things that I'm kind of like working on for this program that I'm refining right now, is that, and I'm trying to think about how I should frame this. So please let me know what you think, is that, and because, I was an emergency nurse, triage is a big thing, right? What is triage? It's where we look and decide, like, what is the main priority? What do we need to tackle? And I think that if you're looking at your whole house ecosystem overall, when it comes to the clutter, and it comes to taking kids places, and it comes to cooking meals, plus having family time, plus relaxing, and enjoying life, right? So much of it is just listing out all the things we have to do instead of thinking about what are the fun things that we can do. And so it's that triage, what is the main priority? And that is why I think the Solvet method is so good with making sure that we're balancing all of these things. And I think that's why it's so hard for a lot of us with ADHD. But that's also why I really like using a planner, because I can make sure that I can see what I have planned. I can see that I have planned in that we're going to do a movie or whatever. And I know a lot of people, their spouses, might do more planning or whatever. I am by far the planner in the house, and I'm happy with that. We have great roles in our house, and my husband, he's absolutely wonderful with a lot of things, but I'm kind of like the manager of planning and whatnot. So I think that it's really handy when we are aware of sort of the triage, what needs to be tackled first, and then simplifying things, because simplifying is absolutely massive. So perhaps your kids don't need to be in so many activities, or perhaps you don't need to be in so many activities, or perhaps you need to simplify your yard. You probably need to declutter stuff from your house, because like I said before, keeping my house clean was an absolutely monster task, and one of the biggest things that was in the way was getting the dealing with all of the stuff. And I think once you actually decide your main ways that you want to sort of manage your prioritizing. So maybe you're using the Solvet method just mentally. I don't know. Maybe you could, or you're using that along with a planner, or you have some kind of system that you're doing, which is so good too. And I think that what's really important when we're doing our prioritizing is prioritizing in that fun with the family, but also prioritizing in that you time, that time for you to get things done, that time to go to the grocery store, and to recognize that that is something that takes time. So for me, right after this, I am going to go to Costco. So in the past, what I would do is try to juggle dinner around that. In recent times, what I have done instead is I have been getting the hot dogs from Costco for the kids. However that be, I don't want us to be eating much processed food anymore. So instead, what I'm doing is I'm bringing back a salad from Costco. Usually I cut up and then vacuum seal my lettuce, which you have seen before on this channel. But today we're just going to get bagged salad and I'm going to have some chicken with it. And part of that is recognizing I'm not trying to keep cramming a bunch of things on top. There's a give and a take. So because I'm going to Costco, it's going to take me like an hour. I'm going to be out for an hour and a half or something. Then that amount of time I can't spend on dinner. Somebody else could spend that time on dinner. But right now for today, my middle son who cooks, he's out right now. My husband, he's doing something else, so he's not going to cook dinner. So I'm going to pick up some ingredients from Costco that we can have for dinner. And I think that that is a really fun, great way that we can prioritize a lot of the things in our life and our house and how we can get so much done. And that makes it so wonderful and so enjoyable. And I think when we do things well, we can enjoy them. And when there's a system that works well, we can enjoy it. It's just like when you're putting things away in your kitchen or your garage or whatever, you can enjoy that process and it's really, really fun. If you are listening to this in the podcast, then you are missing out on watching me doing this stuff on the YouTube video. And in this video, I'm just going to explain this to the people watching the video too, is I have done the things that I love to do. Food preservation. I'm getting stuff canned. I'm getting stuff from my freeze dryer in packages and getting everything all tucked away. And I find that enjoyable. But if I wasn't managing the rest of my stuff, I would not find that enjoyable. And it would be a massive, massive burden. And let me tell you, I freeze dried some apples and they were pretty darn good. Okay, guys, so I forgot, first of all, to taste test the apples in front of you and also like to leave any out for my family. I was so focused on the task at hand. So I'm going to open up this bag, which is great because then I can reseal it. And I'm going to put some in this jar. And I'll use my vacuum sealer. And we'll taste some for you. Now, I did get these from a local farmer. They're very tart. So there's that. Where did my lid go? Where's my lid? Off my lid. The only time I reuse a canning lid is when I'm doing the vacuum sealer. So first I'll try this. It's so much better now it's cooled down, but it's tart, which is actually really nice. I like tart things. Okay, and then this thing, I've shown it on this channel before. Use a mason jar and a canning lid. It can be an old one, but occasionally they fail. So it's fine though, like it's never a big deal. So it comes with this lid, like when you buy this thing. And I have one listed, the link below, and it's black, but it shouldn't really matter. It's a very simple technology. And they come with a lid for a regular size canning jar and a wide mouth, which is what this is. And I just leave it on for about 30 seconds. It's rechargeable and it sucks out all the air and it keeps these delicious and crispy. If you don't use this, they won't be crispy for long. And in fact, I will show you something. So this is some zucchini. I did a live stream on my other channel, actually. And I had this huge zucchini. It was like 21 inches long or 19 inches long or something. And it weighed like 7 pounds. So I was like, it's like a baby. And my mom came on this live stream and she was like, I want that. So I said, do you want me to freeze dry it for you? Because she was going to use it for zucchini. And it actually still is so brittle, which is handy. But quite often they will just get a little soft, and it, for the purposes that she's using it for, and if she uses it, you know, within a few months, it should keep just fine. Always need to do carpet, just knock something over. So last video I posted was a silent clean with me, cook with me video. You can click that out here. You might also like this one if you don't like the silent video. I hope that you stay tidy and mighty. Thank you so much for watching. I hope something great happens for you today, and I'll see you next time. Bye.